Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Brakatham. My sisters, Yahweh Shemal Ayothan Ba'Hashem Yahushua. This is the Pittsburgh class. This is the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding Gen.YAHANNA. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been bringing out this truth since 1969, which is that blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman are the chosen of the Most High God. Okay? The ethnic Jews that the Bible speaks about, the biblical Israelites. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Mother's Day. All right, so today is Mother's Day. We're going to bring out some scriptures. We're going to read some articles about Mother's Day and where it originates from. And, and also that this is a one of the many things that kind of plagues the children of Israel. When I say children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and First Nation man and woman. This is one of the things that we hold in high esteem and high regard in our nation, which is, has nothing to do with, this is not something that's in the scriptures that we are to keep or to practice, or this is not of any type of substance, anything that the Most High God wants us to indulge in. So, of course, you grow up in America, you take on these things because these are the customs of the heathen. If you don't know any better, if you're not in the truth or been paying attention to the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding Gen.YAHANNA, this is a terrible mistake that we can make. Most people do it because they believe that they're doing no wrong and honoring their mother, and it's not a wrong thing to honor your mother, but to celebrate Mother's Day, which is an established heathen pagan holiday, that is wrong. But there's no sin in loving your mother or honoring your mother or your father. All right, so we're going to read a little bit, read some articles, and then jump into some scriptures. So the first thing is, let's jump into the origins of Mother's Day. Okay, now the origins of Mother's Day started with a lady by the name of Anna Jarvis, okay, who I believe was named after her mother. Okay, her mother's name, I believe, was like pretty much like the same thing, maybe Anna Jarvis or something like that. But okay, so we're going to read a little bit about her, and then we're going to read some more and then jump into some scriptures. Okay, so Anna Marie Jarvis was born May 1st, 1864. She died November 24th, 1948. All right, was the founder of Mother's Day in the United States. Her mother had frequently expressed desire to establish such a holiday, and after her mother's death, Jarvis led the movement for the commemoration. Okay, so her mother originally had the idea of celebrating Mother's Day. All right. However, as the years passed, Jarvis grew disenchanted with the growing commercialization of the observation. She herself did not profit from the day and even attempted to have Mother's Day rescinded. She died in a sanitarium. Her medical bills paid by people on the floral and greeting card industries. Okay, so that's where you get the greeting cards and the flowers and stuff for Mother's Day. It originated with this woman. All right, so let me see something here. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this lady was born in what's going on? Okay, her mother's name was Anna Marie Reeves Jarvis. Okay, was born in West Virginia, because this is where they have like a landmark, with the lady's name on it. It's like basically like a graven image that's erected, and we know that in the nation of Israel, we are not to set up any standing images or any thing like that towards anyone. This is in the Bible. All right, so let me see here. Okay, let me read about her mother. It says, Anne Reeves Jarvis was a social activist and founder of Mother's Day work clubs. As a woman defined by her faith, she was very active within the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church community. It was during one of her Sunday school lessons in 1876 that her daughter, Anne Jarvis, allegedly found her inspiration for Mother's Day, as Anne closed her lessons with a prayer stating, here it is. This is a prayer that she came up with. This is the mother. I hope and pray that someone sometime will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders humanity in every field of life. She is entitled to it. Now, this is, of course, is a heathen. When I say heathen, we're talking about anyone outside the nation of Israel. Of course, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman, we are the Israelites. We're the real Jews that the Bible speaks about. But anyone outside of that nation, whether it be the Moabites, the Africans, East Indians, whatever, anyone who's not an Israelite, they're heathens. Okay, so this is a heathen. This is an Edomite woman, which is a so-called white woman. So she takes it upon herself to basically, come up with something that's just on her own mind. This is something that's in her own thoughts. It's not something that's established by the Most High God, but this is established in her own mind. I hope and pray that someone sometime will found a Memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the master's service she renders to humanity in every field of life. She is entitled to it. Okay, so again, this is just a woman in her own feelings and thinking this is something that needs to be established because she said so. But there's nothing in the scripture, nothing that the Most High God has said that it's okay for us to partake in something like this. All right, so now another thing that we need to realize is over time, the children of Israel have always been punished, not always, but have been punished for following the customs of other nations, okay? And this Mother's Day has its origins actually in worship of a fertility goddess, okay? Now, this fertility goddess, who is known in Greece name as Rhea, is also associated with another so-called mother goddess, Cybele, and then Gia. All these three so-called goddesses or mother of the gods are of pagan origin. Now, even before that, you go back to the so-called Africans, they had their versions of this. And remember, the so-called white man, the Edomite, the Edomites, they got everything they learned, they got that from the Africans. They studied under, the Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, all them people. They studied under that African mystery religion crap. So this is where it started at. Because in Africa, you have things like Isis, Horus, Osiris, all these different, so-called gods who are personifications of like the host of heaven and different animals and all different types of craziness, whatever. But it's nothing that's to be honored or worship. But this is where it started at. So to understand that when you worship these things like Mother's Day and stuff like that, it goes way back deeper than what you see on the surface. I know today it's like, cards, flowers, give a mommy a kiss and all this. And the main objective of this Mother's Day thing is, and it says that when I read about it, the main thing that mothers want on Mother's Day is to basically do nothing. They want to just sit down and do nothing, get served, basically be worshiped that day. But the main thing is to sit down and have time to rest. Okay. Okay. So that's what the main thing is on Mother's Day. And of course, they get all types of gifts and presents and everything. But again, the main thing is for them to sit down and basically not be a mother that day. It's ironic that they're worshiped for being a mother, but on that day, the main thing they want to do is not be a mother. That's if you can look this up yourself, you can type it in Google. You can look it up for yourself. So again, as an Israelite, for us to take on any customs of any heathens and to worship anybody but the Most High God is a sin. Okay, we are not to worship anybody else. Anna Jarvis, her mother, they're heathens. Okay, and we as Israelites are not to take on any customs that they partake in. Okay, so again, this is worship of, this Edomite woman, you know what I mean? It goes back to as far as like these fertility goddesses, which is, they represent like the land or earth or fertility. They're so-called mother of all gods, all this, Greek mythology and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with us. This is nothing that we are supposed to observe, nothing that we are supposed to hold in high esteem. And when we do it, the Most High God punishes us for it. This goes along with, things like Christmas, Halloween, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Easter, so on and so on. Okay, so this is just another trick, another thing, another money grab too as well. This is something that earns about, I believe they said it was going to hit $35 billion. I think it was, yeah, $35 billion is what they expect to make on Mother's Day. Think about that, $35 billion. These corporations are going to get rich over cards and flowers. And from the black community going to spend their last dime on, on their mothers or whatever. And I mean, and most of the time, a lot of us don't even have the money to be spending on these things. You know what I mean? It completely breaks us and puts us in a terrible situation. You spend your last dime on Mother's Day and then, next week you got to worry about how you're going to pay your rent. But also another thing I like to add is that, everybody is not a good mother. There's, whether you're a good mother or whether you're not, we're not supposed to, celebrate any Mother's Day activity. But the truth is a lot of you mothers aren't good mothers. I mean, you know, you want to be worshiped on Mother's Day, but you don't even have your own kids. You know what I mean? Or your kids is out acting crazy, running in the streets, you know what I mean? Doing things that are, you know, harming other people, while you want to be worshiped as a mother and you did nothing to raise your children, but just basically have them in the house, turn the TV on, give them a cell phone, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not to say that every woman is like that. I'm just saying, but there are women out there that are like that. That's just the truth. You know what I mean? You know, one of the things that kills me, bothers me, is when I see women walking down the street and they have like a young one about 10, 20 feet behind them, and they're just in their cell phone walking. The child's walking 20 feet behind them, you know, next to the curb, next to the street, you know what I mean? And can easily just run into the street and get hit by a car while the mother's just on her cell phone on probably on social media making a post. You know what I mean? Like she's being actually being a mother. And again, I'm not attacking women. I'm just saying that this is a true thing that happens. Okay, it's no problem to give a woman, you know, some praise and to let them know that they, you know what I mean, that they're doing a good job. There's no problem with that. This is something that can be done every day. The problem is when you celebrate Mother's Day, this is an established heathen holiday. Again, this is something that's going to bring about $35 billion money that could be put into the black community. You know what I mean? We're still destroyed here in America and all over the world. We're still in the ghettos, the barrios. Our so-called Mexican brothers and sisters are at the border in cages. Our Haitian brothers and sisters are being destroyed. And we're up here, you know, giving all of our last dime into this American society, and we're still at the bottom of the society. So any of these holidays, any of these things that are man-made or that are given to us through heathens, it's just been detrimental to us as Israelites. Okay, as Israelites. All right, so let me pull out a few scriptures. Let's go to Leviticus 18:3. Salakia. Leviticus 18:3. Salakia, 1 minute. Okay, here we go. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall you not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Okay. I always like to bring out my concordance, my dictionaries and stuff like that, because there's certain words I like to get definitions of so people could understand a little clearer what I'm trying to say. All right, so I'll read that again. The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Okay, so what is this saying? Remember, I told you that most of these heathen practices started in ancient Egypt, Babylon, which is all the seed of Ham. They're Africans, right? And it was passed on to, you know, the Greeks and Romans, and which became Western civilization, which is what we have here in America today. So it's telling you here, after the doings of the land of Egypt, where ye dwelt, because we were slaves in Egypt before we were slaves anywhere else, all right, shall ye not do. So we don't do what the Egyptians do, okay? And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. The Canaanites are another stock of the Africans, okay? Neither shall you walk in their ordinances, okay? Let me see here. Let me see if I can, this is the Bible. Salakia, 1 second. All right. I kind of know what the word means off, you know, based off time, but I want to get the definition. All right. Salakia, if it's in here. All right. Okay. All right. Let me see here. I think I got it here. One moment. Okay. All right. So it says ordinances. It says appointment, allotment, command, decree, formal decree, decision, statute or decision. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you know, the so-called ancient Africans in there, whatever you want to call them, you know, this is something that they did. This is, you know, their decrees, you know what I mean? Their statutes, you know what I mean? This is things that they like to do. This is their decisions, okay? This is not something that's of the children of Israel. You understand? The Most High God chose us to be a holy, separate nation, okay? And separate meaning, you know, which means holy, means that we cannot do what other people do. Even though these other nations exist, you know, they're in the same cities, the same states, the same locations. We are still not to conduct ourselves like them. All right, that's clear what the Most High God says to do. All right, so after their ordinances, I'll read that again. The book of Leviticus 18:3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Okay, so that's off top. So remember, we were talking about this Mother's Day, about Anna Jarvis and her mother, and that, you know, these things originate from, you know, the Greeks and Romans and the Africans, you know what I mean? These are, you know, all this Greek mythology, the African mystery religion. Okay, this is not of the children of Israel. So this is clearly telling you, after the ordinances of these other nations, we are not to indulge in these things. We're not to be like them. All right, so that's A. So let's get Jeremiah 10:2. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. And this is a scripture that I bring out, you know, all the time, because it fits so many different scenarios. Okay, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay, I'll read that again. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay, Mother's Day is the way of the heathen. Remember, it has its origins in ancient, you know, Greek, you know, mythology, African mystery religion, like I just said. These are ways of the heathen. So the Most High is saying, learn not the way of the heathen. And he says this all through the scriptures because why? Because the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, First Nation man and woman, have had a knack to follow the nations round about them, okay, round about us, all right? And this has been detrimental to us. This has destroyed us. It has put us in the situation we are in now. This is why we are suffering the way we're suffering now. This is why we don't have the protection of the Lord, because of days like Mother's Day, you know, and all the other holidays and things that the heathen have, that we have picked up from the heathen nations. All right, read that one more time. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay, now remember, heathens are anyone outside of the nation of Israel. It was the Moabites, which is Chinese, Ammonites, Japanese, the East Indians. You got the so-called Persians, which is Elam. There's all different type of nations. The Edomites, which is so-called white man. So those are heathen nations. Okay, and we're not to partake in anything that they do. Let's get the book of Exodus 20:12. We're going to jump around here and just keep pulling some scriptures until we tie it up all together. Let's get okay, this is the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12. And this is one I'm bringing out for a certain reason, because we're talking about Mother's Day, all right? Because this is a scripture that some fake Christians or fake Israelites and Christians would like to pull to, you know, to say that it's okay to honor your mother or to celebrate Mother's Day. It says in the book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 12, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Okay, I'll read that again. This is the book of Exodus 20:12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Okay, now, of course, in your great, you know what I mean, Christian mind, the first thing you're going to think of is, see, now I can honor my mother. I can, you know, worship her, set up a shrine in the house, you know what I mean, light candles around it, you know what I mean, put, you know, messages around her, you know, this and that, you know what I mean. It's okay for, you know, in America for, you know, anyone to celebrate Mother's Day. That's not what it's saying, okay? That is not what it's talking about. How do you honor your mother and your father? All right? How you honor your mother and your father, according to the scriptures, is you treat them with respect, okay? When they get up in their old age, you treat them with respect and you take care of them like they once did you when you were a child. And sometimes, believe it or not, a lot of brothers and sisters didn't get treated, you know, really good when they were young through their parents. And sometimes they actually get older. When the parents gets older, you know, some of them will have a knack to want to harm their mother and their father because of what they went through when they were a child. And this is why this is here, because it's letting you know that no matter what they did to you, no matter what your situation was when you were younger, when they get up in old age, you are to care for your parents and take care of them and treat them with respect. That's what it means when it says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Okay, so it's your job to treat your parents with respect and to hold them down. You know what I mean? Hold them down, regardless of what hopefully, you had a childhood where your parents held you down and did the right things for you, but everybody didn't have that. But when they get older and they can't, do things for themselves, and they might even be a little irritable and ignorant and, raunchy and whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? This is things that happen when they get older, but you got to deal with that. Love your parents and take care of them. That's what honor thy mother and thy father means. Okay, so don't think that this means that you can go up and worship your mother on Mother's Day and set up a shrine and all this other craziness that they do in here in America. All right, so anytime someone brings out Exodus 20 and 12, understand that it's talking about you hold your parents down when they get up there in old age, okay? Because that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? And when they do finally pass on, the Most High God will take care of you. That's what that's talking about. All right. And remember, we're jumping around here a little bit, and I'm going to explain these scriptures as I jump around. Let's get Lamentations 4 and 3. All right. Okay, so this is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 3. It says, even the sea monsters draw out the breasts. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. All right, I'll read that again. The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 3. Even the sea monsters draw out their breasts. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. Okay, so the daughter of my people, who's that talking about? That's talking about Israelite, the Israelites, Black and Hispanic women, okay? It says, my people, which is, the Lord is letting you know who his people is, Blacks and Hispanics, is become cruel. So a lot of Black women and Hispanic women are cruel, okay? Cruel to their children, cruel to their, their children's father, cruel to other women. And while you're this way, the reason why I bring this out is while you're this way, what makes you think that you need to be celebrated or worshiped if you can't be nice or an acceptable person in society to your own sisters, your own brothers, your men, your children? Again, and I'm not saying all women are this way, but if you are this way, what makes you think that you deserve to be celebrated or worshiped if this verse fits you? Lamentations 4 and 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people has become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. All right. So you just think about like I think it's like the ostriches. They when they have their children when they have their babies, their babies or the eggs are just anywhere. They leave it out in the open and don't hide the babies. So basically, an animal could come and eat the babies, step on the, the eggs, and devour the babies, the children. And that's what this is basically saying here. They don't even protect their children. And this is what has happened to the children of Israel, our women. They have become so cruel that they don't even give protection to their own children. You know what I mean? Like the scriptures say, we'll eat our babies. And this is something that, really did happen. And they also eat their children through abortion. You understand that? So these are the things that we go through, as Blacks and Hispanics. And these verses certainly fit us. They're talking about us and no one else. So let's get Job 39 and 16. Let's get the book of Job 39 and 16. All right. This is the book of Job, chapter 39 and 16. This is to piggyback right off of the jump off of the last verse we just wrote. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. I'll read that again. Job 39 and 16. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. See that? Black and Hispanic women they don't, some of them don't even have any love or any care for their own children. They're hardened against them, okay, as though they were not hers. You know what I mean? I've seen this plenty of times. I've seen women treat their children as if they didn't even come from between their own legs. You know what I mean? It's a terrible thing. It's a very terrible thing. So if you're this way, what makes you think that it's okay for you to want to be worshipped on Mother's Day and you're not even a mother and you're hardened against your own children? And again, I'm not talking about all women. There's a certain type of woman that this fits. All right. So let's get Deuteronomy 16 and 22. is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 22. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which the Lord thy God hateth. Okay? Read that again. Deuteronomy 16 and 22. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which the Lord thy God hateth. Remember, this woman, Anna Jarvis, had basically like a shrine, a memorial set up in West Virginia. And this is just letting you know, I'm just bringing this out because this is not, I know you may have loved your mother. You had a great mother, you know what I mean? She was the, the center of your world and everything. And it's okay to love your mother. It's okay to remember your mother. But to set up images, to set up a shrine, to, you know what I mean, to worship her image or to worship her, you know what I mean? Mother's Day is a day of worship and so-called motherhood or whatever. These are all, this is a simple thing, okay? It's a simple thing. It's okay to love your mother. We're not saying that it's not okay to love your mother. But to worship your mother or to partake in Mother's Day is a sin. It is a sin according to the Bible. Okay, so that's why I brought it out. Deuteronomy 16 and 22. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which the Lord thy God hateth. God hates when you set up any image of a person and worship it like it's a God. Okay, remember the Lord thy God he's a jealous God. All the praise and all the worship and it goes to him only and him and only. Him and him only. All right, so we're not setting up any images, and worshiping mothers, okay? That's the Lord says he's against that. All right, so let's get Amos 5 and 21. All right, this is the book of Amos, chapter 5 and verse 21. It says, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Now, this is talking about holidays, and Mother's Day is a holiday. I wouldn't say Mother's Day goes as hard as as far as the celebrations, as far as like Christmas, Halloween, and some of these other ones. But there is some things that are done on Mother's Day that, that fit the scripture. Amos 5 and 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. People come together on Mother's Day. They cook food. Of course, they worship their mother. They come together, smoke weed, get drunk out of their minds. Smoke weed, and end up arguing with their mother. And they come over to the house to celebrate their mother and to worship her, and then they get high and drunk together. The next thing you know, they fighting and got each other by the hair. And the daughter's complaining to the mother about how she was such a bad mother, and the mother's telling the daughter like, I'm your mother, you know what I mean, you can't talk to me this way. And this happens. Don't think it doesn't happen. And a lot of brothers and sisters can attest to this. You go to that barbecue or some type of place, or go over your mother's house, or you have some function, and then these things happen. I've seen mothers and daughters argue all the time, but then Mother's Day come along. Oh, you're the best mother in the world. I mean, it's just lies is what it is. It's just lies. You know what I mean? Again, you can love your mother, but worshiping your mother, that's something completely different. Amos 5 and 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Okay? So you're coming together to worship your mother. They throwing all these events for Mother's Day. That would be a solemn assembly. And the Lord hates these things. All right? Let me see. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 15. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 15. Okay, here we go. Now this is talking about a situation where, worshiping the deceased, okay? Because this is what you're dealing with when you deal with Mother's Day, okay? So pay attention here. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Okay, now this is pinpoint exactly what this woman Anna Jarvis did. It's a little different because it's talking about a father who lost a son, but it's the same thing. You're dealing with the same thing. This is a woman who lost her mother. Okay, I'll read that again. For a father afflicted with an untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child soon taken away. Okay. Now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. So again, father lost his child. This woman lost her mother. Okay, honored his child as a god. This woman is honoring her mother as a god. Okay, But this was a dead man, which she is a dead woman. All right. And delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Ceremonies and sacrifices. This is why you get Mother's Day cards. You know what I mean? You got all these different things in the name of mothers and all these different things, okay? This is something that started by a heathen woman who honored her mother as a god, and then it got passed down to America and became a law, basically. Verse 16, thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as law. I'll read that again. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings. Okay, so over time, this became something that, you know, they put a law on it and said, now we got to honor this day. That's what happened in America with Mother's Day. All right, the scriptures is pinpoint on point with this. All right, so this is something that's grown as a custom that's ungodly. You know, okay. Whom men could, this is verse 17, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present. So just like it just said here, imagine this image of Anna Jarvis's mother in West Virginia. You ain't in West Virginia, but they got a picture of it, and you can look it up on the internet, or, you know, look it up as just something, you know, something to worship or honor. Okay, so basically, all this is talking about is, you know, honoring or worshiping somebody who's deceased. Okay, the person who's deceased is dead. It's okay for you to love your you know, your lost ones. Okay, it's okay for you to love them and hold them in high esteem and to talk about them. Okay, and to remember them. But to worship them as a god, that is a sin. Okay, we cannot do that. And America has fooled the children of Israel, you know, over and over again for us to do things like this. And these things, you know, the Most High God hates. Okay. The Most High God hates these type of things. And that's why I'm bringing up scriptures to let you know what I mean, what God says. This is not what Priest Officer Gawan is saying. This is in the Bible. All right. Let's get Judges 2 and 13. Judges 2 and 13. So lock in 1 minute. Okay, this is the book of Judges chapter 2 and verse 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth. I'll read that again. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth. Okay, who's the they? The children of Israel. What does forsook mean? It means to turn away, to leave our God. Okay, to not pay attention or listen to our God. We forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth. Baal means Lord. Ashtaroth is like kind of like what you see here with the worship of Gaia, Cybele, Rhea. Okay, this is the type of things that we have done over time by following the practices of the heathens. So if you're celebrating Mother's Day, this is what you're doing. Okay, you're forsaking the Lord and following, you know what I mean, Anna Jarvis, you know what I mean, which goes back, you know what I mean, the practices that she brought out goes back to Rhea, Jaya, whatever her name is, and Cybele, okay, which goes back to African mystery religion. Okay, so this is why the scripture is so heavy. Judges 2 and 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth. Okay, this is what they trick us into doing, serving other gods. Okay, when you worship Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, New Year's, your birthday, whatever else there is, you're worshiping other gods. Okay, this is what they tricked us into doing. And when you do this, you upset the Most High God. And when you upset the Most High God, you don't have his protection. This is why we are #1 in everything: AIDS, diabetes, cancer, obesity. While we're being murdered in massive numbers by the police, and just being murdered all over the globe. You understand? This is why these things can happen to us, because we won't listen to the Most High God. We won't pay attention to his laws, statutes, and commands. All right, let's get one more. Let's get Colossians 2 and 8. All right, Salakia. All right, it's the last one here. Let's go to Colossians 2 and 8. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ." I'll read that again. Colossians 2 and 8. "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. When it's talking about man, it's talking about mankind, and women is also included in that mankind. Spoil you means rob you, because you're being robbed. Every time you go spend money on Mother's Day, you're being robbed through philosophy and vain deceit. Philosophy, thoughts of man or woman. That's all it is. It's just their thoughts, okay? A vain deceit after the tradition of men, okay? Things that, again, this is something that they did in the 1800s, and it's a tradition to them, and it passed on down to where you're at now. Just things of man or woman, okay? After the rudiments of the world, you know what I mean? After, you know, the principalities, the practices of the world, not after Christ. Meaning this goes against Christ, which means if it goes against Christ, it goes against the Most High God, okay? So when you're serving man, you can't be serving the Most High God. You understand? You can't be serving the Most High God. So understand that when you celebrate Mother's Day or any one of these other holidays, you are not serving the Most High God. You are serving a man or Satan, okay? Man, you know, of course, can work for Satan. So that's what you're doing here. Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So when you celebrate Mother's Day, you're being fooled by Anna Jarvis, okay? Who worshiped her mother, put her mother on high esteem, you know what I mean? Created a holiday for us to spend money and disobey our God, all right? And with that, I'm going to wrap up the class. Again, this is the I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We have these classes Monday through Friday, usually about 7 to 9 p.m. Here in Pittsburgh, we go on Wednesdays and Fridays, you know what I mean? Most times, Wednesdays and Fridays. So we have class at the library on Broadway in Beachview, okay? And that's on Fridays, all right? And with that, I'm going to say shalom, Israel. The water for tuning in.